Good morning and welcome to the Daily Download. I'm your host, Dr. Derar Pulley. This is the day the Lord has made. We are rejoicing and we are glad in it. Welcome to the Daily Download where the Lord daily loads us with his benefits. And I'm telling you, today is already loaded. It is already jammed and packed with the lessons and the blessings of God. And my heart and my mind are open to receive all the good that God has for me. And I am praying with you today that your heart and your mind are open and receptive to divine, unlimited ideas. If this is your first time watching the Daily Download, welcome to the Daily Download family. And we say thank you so much for being a part of us. Like, follow, and share the Dr. Durara Pulley page so that you can get notifications of when we are on Facebook Live. And if you're one of our regular Kingdom citizens, students of truth, you know what time it is. It is time to press that share button at the bottom of your screen. Invite a family member, a friend, a neighbor, a co-worker, a classmate, a church member, and say, look, I'm looking at the Daily Download with Dr. Durara Pulley, and I invite you to watch it along with me. Well, today is a special day. It is the birthday of my shepherd mother, Renee Denard Cole. Happy birthday, happy 70th birthday to you. Yay! Let's give birthday shout outs to Renee Denard Cole. It is a national holiday. People are coming from all over the country to celebrate this wonderful woman of God and her wonderful birthday today. So we say happy birthday to Renee Denard Cole, a faithful supporter of the Daily Download. All right, so we've been talking about the love journey, that the soul's journey is a love journey. Come on, affirm that with me today. The soul's journey is a love journey. One more time, let's affirm that. The soul's journey is a love journey, and I'm on this journey. I am in it to win it. I am on this soul's journey, and I'm allowing the love of God, the power of God, the presence and peace of God to manifest in my life, in my world, and in my affairs. Yes, the soul's journey is a love journey. And we've been looking at Luke chapter 10, verses 25 through verses 37. Again, that's Luke chapter 10, verses 25 through verses 37. And we've been talking about the young rich ruler, that like a magnet, he was attracted to Jesus, and Jesus was attracted to him, that their paths intersected on this love journey. And so today our subject is, pay attention to who's saying, I love you. That's right, I said it. Pay attention. Pay close attention to who's saying, I love you. People use the term, I love you. They use it loosely. Some people say it just as a greeting. You know, I love you. Some people just say it as a salutation, as the closing of a conversation. For some people, it just becomes rote. It becomes repetitive. Even in relationships, people say, I love you. And they don't really even think about what they're saying. They don't even pay attention to what they're saying. It's just something to say. And that love is not really distinguished between a house, between a car, between a dog. It's just, I love you, and it just goes for everybody, and it goes for everything. But today I'm saying to you, pay attention to the people in your life that are telling you, I love you. And pay attention to when you're saying to somebody else, I love you, all right? And so our subject today is pay attention to who's saying to you, I love you. When's the last time somebody said to you, I love you? And I know I say it to you every day, every morning as a part of the Daily Download, but who are the other people in your life that are saying, I love you? And what does that really mean? So if we look at the text, when the young rich ruler gave a summary of the law, he said to love God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, with all your strength, and to love your neighbor as yourself. So we got love God, love yourself, love your neighbor. But notice that little word in there, as. Love your neighbor as. 2 letters, powerful word, 2 letters. Love your neighbor as yourself. So that means that there's a comparison between self-love and the love that we're able to give to other people. And y'all pray with me. I've got a cold passing through. And so there's a comparison between the love that you have for yourself and the love that you're able to give to other people. Because he said, love your neighbor as yourself. All right? So that means that we've got to pay attention to who's loving us as their neighbor, because it says love your neighbor as yourself. And I believe that if we get this concept today and really understand it and really pay attention to it, we'll be less hurt, we'll be less frustrated, we'll be less disappointed in the people who tell us that they love us. All right? So pulley point number 1, and this is the truth. If a person does not love him or herself, they cannot love you. Let me say it again. If a person does not love him or herself, they cannot love you. because the Bible says love your neighbor as yourself. So if you don't even love yourself, then there is no way that you can love me, because you can only love your neighbor as yourself. So if you don't love yourself, that means that you cannot love me. And so when a person says, I love you, consider the I that's making the statement. Who is the person? Who is the I that's loving you? Let me ask that question. Who is the I that is loving you? Because they can only love you if they love themselves. So if they do not love themselves, it is impossible for them to be able to love you. That's why I said it. If they do not love themselves, it is impossible for them to be able to love you. And many times we're frustrated, we're angry, we're hurt, we're disappointed because we're not getting the love that we desire or even that we deserve from other people, but we're not paying attention to the I, to the person, to the person that's saying, I love you. Because that I sets the tone for loving you. If they do not love themselves, they cannot love you. So when they say, I love you, look at the I and say, how is he loving himself? How is she loving herself? If he doesn't love himself, and we talked about what self-love is self-knowledge, self-acceptance, and self-care. So if they don't know themselves, if they don't accept themselves, and if they don't care for themselves, then they're not going to be able to know you, they're not going to be able to accept you, and they're not going to be able to care for you, because self-love is where the ability to love somebody else comes from, all right? So pulley point number one, if they do not love themselves, they cannot love you. So stop expecting it, stop looking for it, stop being frustrated that they're not giving it to you, that the I is the only thing or the only person that can love you. So consider the I, the person that's saying, love you, all right? Pulley point number two. A person can only love you if they love themselves. So just as it is that they cannot love you if they do not love themselves, they can only love you if they love themselves. And so therefore, look at their lives. Many times that we're so hungry, we're so needy, we're so desperate to be loved, we're so desperate to hear somebody say, I love you, or to give us the appearance of love or the feeling of love, that we're not looking at the person. We're just looking at what we need, what we feel, what we desire, and we're not looking at the person that's saying, I love you. And so a person can only love you if they love themselves. So that means that when they say they love you, you got to look and see if they're loving themselves. Because even though they may say it, even though they may feel it, even though they may desire to love you, they can only love you if they love themselves. That's why I said it. If they don't love themselves, they can't love you. And pulley point number two is that they can only love you if they love themselves. So look at go back to our cup and saucer analysis. Remember about the cup and the saucer, that the overflow of the cup is flowing into the saucer. And so that person's life is his or her cup. If their cup is not full of self-love, which is self-knowledge, self-acceptance, and self-care, there is no overflow to be able to love you. If their cup of loving themselves is not full, you're only going to get the overflow. You're only going to get the extra that they have to give. But if they are not loving themselves, they cannot love you. And it's only if their cup is full. And I'm telling you what the Lord loves, and that's the truth. It's only if their cup is full is there an overflow for them to be able to love you. So they can only love me if they love themselves, because I'm only going to get the overflow from a full cup of love, of self-love, that's running over to be able to love me. Remember, we start with God because God gives us the idea of love, God gives us the ideal of love, and God gives us our issues as it relates to love. And then we get to loving ourselves, which is self-knowledge, self-acceptance, and self-care, so that we then can love somebody else, which is being supportive, which is sharing what we have, and which is speaking the truth in love. And we're going to do a PowerPoint review on all of this probably Monday. But it's important that you realize this loving God, loving yourself, loving everyone else, and how it works, so that you're not walking around hurt, so that you're not walking around with unrealistic expectations, so that you're not walking around disappointed. You really got to consider the resource that's saying, I love you. All right? So pulley point number one is if they don't love themselves, they can't love you. Pulley point number 2. They can only love themselves if they love you. So sometimes I think the question when somebody says, I love you, the question might need to be back to say, well, do you love yourself? And if they're uncomfortable with you asking that question, if they're uncomfortable with the answer to that question about them loving themselves, then you already know. You already know that they can only love you if they love themselves. And if they don't love themselves, they can't love you. Pulley point number 3. It said love your neighbor as yourself. So they can only love you to the extent that they love themselves. We're expecting people to give us something that they don't have. They can only love us to the extent. Their love will only reach to the point that they're able to love themselves. We're expecting them to love us more than they love themselves. We think that love is that the person's supposed to love me more than they love themselves. But the truth is, they're only to love you to the extent that they love themselves. It's not healthy. It's not good for you to try to love somebody else more than you love yourself. Love your neighbor as yourself. So the best capacity I can give to love you is to love you as I love myself, which means that some people are able to love you and their capacity to love and your capacity to love is different. So your love might be an 8-ounce serving. Their love might be a 16-ounce serving or 20-ounce serving. So their capacity to love, and they may be loving you at full capacity of 6 ounces. And you saying, well, I got 16 ounces. And I feel like there's a discrepancy, like there's a disparity between the love they have that I'm giving them and the love that I'm receiving from them. Well, you don't have the same capacity. They might be at a 6 capacity of love, and you might be at a 16. And so you've got to look at the person and say, what is their capacity to be able to love? Y'all praying with me as this health challenge passes through? That means my throat gets dry. And it's healing. So therefore, you got to look at that person's capacity and know that everybody does not have the same capacity to love. And you think that everybody is supposed to love you the way that you're loving them, and y'all don't even have the same capacity to love. And so you need to look at their lives and pay attention to the person who's saying, I love you, because they can only love you to the extent that they love themselves. All right? I love you so much. God bless you. Thank you for being a part of the Daily Download. Let's review. Pulley point number 1. If a person does not love him or herself, they can't love you. So just let that go. Pulley point number 2. They can only love you if they love themselves. So you need to look at how they love themselves. Pulley point number 3 is that people can only love you to the extent that they love themselves. All right? And so we're on this journey of love. So what is your capacity to love? Where are you with love? Are you seeing that everybody has the same capacity, or are you really looking at yourself and seeing what your capacity to love is, and looking at somebody else and seeing what their capacity to love, and know that they may be giving you all they got? And so there may be a discrepancy or disparity in what that love. It may not be equal, because y'all may not have the same capacity to love. This is something really to think about today, capacity, all right? Share this on your page today. This is really working with me. Share this on your page today, this good news, and our word today is going to be capacity. Share this on your page. Promote this. Remember, meet a need, sow a seed, boost a post. Your seed to the Daily Download will cause this post to be boosted today. I love you so much. God bless you. Until tomorrow morning at 6:30 a.m., remember, it's already done. Your goals, your dreams, your visions that you desire for 2019, it is already done. I love you so much. God bless you. Remember, if you're looking for a shorter version of today's message, you can find it on Instagram or Twitter. If you're looking for back messages, you can find it on YouTube. And I'm getting ready to do a 3 to 5 version of this message on my personal Facebook channel. Until tomorrow morning at 6:30, remember, it is already done.